Okay, so let's get right into it. When you hear the word fasting, you might think of some new health trend. But what if I told you it's not new at all? What if it's one of the most powerful, ancient tools we have? A tool our bodies are literally built to use, and one that might just be the answer to some of our biggest modern health problems.
That's a pretty intense statement, right? It's from Dr. Alan Goldhamer, who spent, 40 years studying medically supervised fasting. And what he's really getting at is that the world we've built around ourselves, it's actually working against our own health. And here's the number that kind of proves his point. A staggering 76% of people are now considered overweight or obese. This isn't just an accident. It's a direct result of the world that Dr. Goldhamer is talking about.
So what is the problem at its core? It's really simple. Dietary excess. Things like heart disease and diabetes, they used to be called the diseases of kings for a reason. They were rare. Only the super wealthy could afford to consistently overeat. But now, that kind of excess is available to pretty much everyone, all the time.
And this right here, this is the real villain of the story, visceral fat. Now, this isn't the fat you can pinch on your arm. Oh no. This is the dangerous inflammatory fat that wraps itself around your internal organs. It's so active and so harmful that Dr. Goldhamer says it literally acts like a tumor, just pumping out stuff that makes us sick.
So how do we end up with so much of this stuff? Well, we're being tricked. These three things right here, salt, oil, and sugar, or SOS, get added to almost everything. And they're not really food. They're more like hyper-concentrated chemicals that hijack our brain's pleasure centers. They totally fool our natural "I'm full" signals and just drive us to keep eating.
Okay, so if the problem is this modern world of excess, where do we find the solution? Well, it might just be something incredibly ancient. See, fasting isn't just some diet fad. It's a deep biological process our bodies evolved to handle periods when food was scarce. We are literally designed for this.
But let's be super clear about what we're talking about here. This is not about juice cleanses or anything like that. We're talking about water-only fasting. And look at the definition. There are two crucial parts. You stop taking in food, sure, but you also do it in an environment of complete rest. It's that combination that makes it so therapeutic.
So, what's actually going on inside your body when you stop eating? This isn't about starving yourself. It's about your body flipping a powerful metabolic switch. Let's break down all this complex biochemistry into a few simple steps.
All right, so for the first day or so, your body is just burning through all the sugar it has stored away. Easy peasy. But after that, it runs out, and it has to make a choice. Start breaking down precious muscle or start burning fat. And this is where our evolutionary design is just brilliant. Your brain, which is a massive energy hog, switches from running on sugar to running on these things called ketones, which are clean-burning byproducts of fat.
And just when you think it can't get any cooler, as this fuel switch is happening, something else kicks into high gear, a process called autophagy. This actually won a Nobel Prize back in 2016. The best way to think about it is like your body's deep cleaning crew. It goes around and recycles old, damaged, junky cell parts. Fasting dramatically ramps up this whole process, which is linked to everything from a longer life to preventing disease.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But does the science actually back it up? You bet it does. This isn't just speculation. There are decades of published research on medically supervised fasting, and the results are, well, they're pretty remarkable. Just take this number. In one major study, they took 174 people who all had high blood pressure. They put them through a medically supervised fast. So how many of them do you think normalized their blood pressure without any medication? All of them. Every single one. 174 out of 174. You just don't see results like that with drugs.
And check this out. This might be my favorite part. During a fast, yeah, you might lose about 20% of your total body fat. But look at the visceral fat, that dangerous internal stuff we talked about. You lose 40% of that. Your body is smart. It intelligently goes after the bad stuff first. It's literally twice as effective at getting rid of the fat that actually makes you sick.
Okay, get ready for a little bit of a mind bender here. On one hand, you have fasting, which is all about complete rest. On the other, you have exercise, which is vigorous activity. They are polar opposites, right? So why on earth do they produce the exact same incredible benefits in the body, like less inflammation and a healthier brain? And here is that aha moment. It's because, from your body's ancient perspective, both fasting and intense exercise are signals of stress. Think famine or having to run for your life.
In response, your body activates the exact same deep survival pathways. It doesn't just fix the damage from overeating, it triggers a system-wide upgrade to make you stronger and more resilient. That's the secret sauce.
And it doesn't stop there. Think about your gut microbiome for a second. It's kind of like a computer that's running slow because it's full of junk files and maybe some viruses. Well, fasting is like hitting the hard reset button. It causes a huge die-off of all the organisms in there, giving you a totally clean slate. Then, when you start eating again, the right way, you can repopulate your gut with all the good guys that actually support your health.
All right, so the science is pretty mind-blowing. But the big question is, what does this actually mean for you? Because fasting is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The right way to do it changes a lot depending on who you are and what your goals are.
Let's break it down. If you're generally healthy, think of fasting as a powerful preventative tool. A simple daily 12-hour fast, or what some people call time-restricted eating, can boost your brain and help reset your taste buds. Now, if you're carrying some extra weight, a longer, medically supervised fast, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, can be a total game changer for getting rid of that dangerous visceral fat. And finally, for people who are actually dealing with a chronic illness, like type 2 diabetes, a properly supervised fast can be a serious therapeutic intervention that can even help reverse the disease itself.
Okay, before we finish up, let's just nail down the most crucial takeaways. These are the big ones. First, and this is non-negotiable, always get medical supervision for any fast that's longer than a day or 2. Second, remember that rest isn't optional. It is absolutely critical. Third, how you start eating again is just as important as the fast. And finally, remember to think of fasting as a powerful, short-term intervention. It's not a long-term diet.
So, when you put it all together, it leaves us with this one fascinating question. We live in a world that is constantly telling us to add more supplements, more superfoods, more workouts. But could it be that the most powerful health intervention of all isn't about what you add, but about what you have the courage to take away?